Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be updating you guys on that upcoming potentially massive snowstorm or even massive blizzard. It's pretty safe to say that is a possibility at this point. Absolute bombed out low pressure system, possibly dropping into the 960s or the 950s on the millibars. Just absolutely insane stuff. We're going to be talking about all that within this video. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, which state do you think will see the most snowfall with this snowstorm? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. As we can see here, we have three different kind of areas of some storminess going on in the United States here, mostly here in the southeast, but also up here in the northeast and portions of the Rocky Mountains and the plains back there. We'll start out back here in the plains, I guess. You can see the precipitation typing turns off, just like always. Unfortunately, we see Montana, even portions of Wyoming, Utah, Colorado seeing snowfall, and then even down through Kansas, Nebraska, and South Dakota there. So this area is seeing pretty spotty snowfall for different spots. The more consistent snowfall is actually in the southeastern corner of this area that I've drawn here, especially Colorado and Kansas and Nebraska there, as well as a little bit of southeastern Wyoming as well. Then there's an area near Rapid City there in South Dakota that's also seen quite a bit of snowfall take place also. So that's what we're dealing with out west there. Let's move down to the southeast because we've had quite a bit of storminess taking place here. You can see that a lot of this energy is heading up just like this. And this has brought pretty heavy rainfall here for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and even Florida there. And a lot of this is going to be moving in pretty soon here to these regions. So we're going to be watching for quite a bit of rainfall throughout the day today. Even northern Florida is expecting quite a bit more throughout the day today. So we're going to be watching for all of these things. It's pretty much moved away from Texas there. It's moved offshore now of Texas. It's moving out of Louisiana as we speak. And mostly we're going to be talking about these further east areas throughout the day today. Now let's move up to the northeastern United States, where we have had a bit of energy around here. This has brought some snowfall for these regions. Pretty spotty. It hasn't been super consistent. So we've maybe seen a couple of inches take place. This was this clipper that was around these regions as of yesterday. It's gone ahead and moved up into more of these regions. So we are watching for some snowfall here, but probably not anything crazy. I would say maximum 2 or 3 inches probably taking place for the heaviest spots here within that region, which still for these regions isn't considered to be major snowfall by any means. Now, if we were talking about South Carolina or Georgia, yeah, that would be a major snowstorm. For these areas, that's a dusting, basically. So this has been a pretty minor event for these regions. They're moving up just like this, and it should move out by later today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, talk about that model guidance, and take a look at the updated information on this big upcoming storm, because confidence has only gone up. So we're going to walk you through the European model here, and then we're going to walk probably through the GFS model as well, just like yesterday. And right now we're in this kind of a pattern. This is what really allowed this clipper system that we saw as of yesterday and today to just follow that jet stream just like that. And we can see another one building in around here. This is some of that snowfall that we took a look at just a second ago. Let's just continue this on. And what's going to happen here is we're going to see this clipper system move out first off. Jet stream looks about like this. We see this system has kind of dived down. We can see down in the southern four corner states now, we see a lot of this precipitation kind of moves out to sea because that's where the jet stream is kind of taking everything. Let's just continue this on. That was by Wednesday, and by the time we're reaching Thursday afternoon, we're going to be in a much quieter pattern. Not really anything going on here other than a trough in the east, ridge in the west, pretty much. There's some snow showers around, but really, a fairly quiet pattern. Now, by Friday afternoon, this is when things get really, really crazy here. We can see the trough in the east is just absolutely insane by this point. Looks about like that, and we've seen this kind of low-pressure system developing right in here. This is our potential blizzard, okay? This is a serious storm here by this point. Let's just zoom into the east here. All right. Now, we can see that this storm really comes together by about, let's say this is about 2 a.m. on Saturday, January 29th. We can see it's already 983 millibar low pressure center, so it's already bombing out. By this point, we're seeing the heaviest snowfall for North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, up through New Jersey. By this point, even back into the Smoky Mountains, we're seeing some of that snowfall take place. The important thing here to note, guys, is this is still about 100 hours out, or actually 102 by this point. And one thing that's important to note is that the past couple of storms we've had have really trended either east or west. They haven't really stuck with what the model was calling for at this range. So we're going to just go over the possibilities that this could go further east, and this also could go further west, okay, in either direction. And that would drastically change where that snowfall takes place. Now, let's continue this on. What's interesting is we see it kind of take a track like this, where it almost begins to curve back in, and you're going to see that take place. The heaviest snowfall is anywhere from Norfolk, Virginia, all the way up through Boston by this point, so that includes D.C., Philadelphia there, Baltimore, New York City, and Boston. But does this look familiar to any of you guys? Because our last snowstorm originally looked this way, and then we saw it really trend south. So again, take it with a grain of salt, because we've seen these storms just really shift away, and I am kind of concerned about that. So I don't want anybody to get their hopes too far up. But this storm really intensifies. Now it's a 964 millibar low pressure center there. Again, takes kind of a track like this where it begins to curve back in. We're seeing the heaviest snowfall still from about Norfolk through north of Boston now. Very, very heavy snowfall in this corridor now. Extreme in this kind of magenta color. That's right near that low pressure center. This is a 964. This is significantly stronger than any nor'easter we've seen this year or even in recent years. I don't know how for the average Joe that doesn't really keep up with how low pressure gets on storms each year. Obviously, normal people usually don't really do that. It's hard to put into words how intense this storm would be if this model output was correct. But it looks so strong, and still, as we move this on, it drops even further to a 961 here by this point, and now it's kind of done like this. It's really curving back in, and that curve in, and then it almost does a loop-de-loop and then goes like this. We do see this happen sometimes. So again, the track kind of does like this, lingers in there, and then goes up like this. That just prolongs the time that snow is falling for these regions. Because it's just hanging out in this region, and that's what really causes a ton of snowfall to come down. So you can see it kind of just hangs out. We just moved and added 3 hours, and the low pressure system doesn't even move. Still a 962 millibar low pressure center. Heavy snowfall from Virginia all the way up to Maine. I'm going to be out of town on Friday morning, so if my area in here gets hit, that's going to be a big miss for me. I'm going to be in the Smoky Mountains on Friday, so I'm going to totally dodge this storm. Which in my case, I don't really want to do that, but that's what's going to happen, so hopefully my trip goes good to compensate. Now, this is by Saturday afternoon. We're increasing in pressure now, so we're up to a 965, so we've kind of seen it linger in here, and now we're beginning to move away. Still heavy snowfall for the Northeast and New England mostly now. Snow is kind of dying down for these more southern regions. And by Sunday morning, we're going to see this one really begin to move. Still the Northeast seeing some snowfall, but it's a 968 millibar low pressure center. So again, the track is done pretty much like this now. And then it really begins to move out by later on Sunday, eventually fully moving out, leaving very, very cold temperatures behind, by the way. And here's the total snowfall. Try not to be shocked, but if you're in the grays, a dusting, if anything, the blues are going to be your 2 to 6 inch amounts. Purple will be about 6 to 10 inch amounts. Your pinks are going to be your 10 to 20 inch amounts. And then these pastel blues in here, basically from the Delmarva up through New England here. So for that entire region there, that is where we're at about 20 to approximately 30 inches of snowfall. And then these pastel kind of areas that are turning a little darker and a little more purplish here. So we can see some of that in here. And then some of that up here for New Hampshire as well. So those colors in here, that is where this model is indicating 30 inches plus. So potentially 30 to 40 inches of snowfall. This particular model here says that somewhere in here probably sees a maximum of 36 inches of snowfall. Absolutely crazy. 3 feet of snowfall potentially. Obviously with the low pressure system going all the way into the 960s, seeing 2 to 3 feet of snowfall from a nor'easter blizzard that gets that strong isn't actually far-fetched. So I don't think this is too bullish, actually. This would be potentially one of the stronger low pressure systems to move through in recent history as a nor'easter. So as far as snowstorms are concerned, so absolute, I would say there's definitely blizzard potential here with this snowstorm. Very, very crazy stuff. Now I'm going to backtrack this, and we're going to go over the GFS model now. So let's just go ahead and switch over to our American model here. We're a little lower resolution here, but we're going to walk through it. And as you can see, this storm is much weaker, about 1,004 millibars here. We are seeing some snowfall for these regions. Now, it does begin to increase in intensity, 991 millibar low pressure center, but it's so far east here by this point. We're only seeing some exclusive snowfall for those regions. It gets all the way down to a 980 millibar low pressure system here, but it's basically taking this track, whereas you saw in the European model, I'll put this in blue, the European model took more of a track like this. And then again, it does about a loop-de-loop just like that, and then heads up like that. So we're talking, I mean, maybe 300 miles of a difference. Not 300, maybe about 200 miles, I would say, of difference there where the low-pressure system tracks European to GFS model. So that obviously is a very significant departure. Now, we do see this become a 974 millibar low-pressure center there, just much further offshore. So the intensity, the models do agree that this storm will be very strong, but this model just keeps it too far offshore to really become what it has the potential to become. So it really doesn't, we don't see its true potential here on this model. Obviously, 2 to 6 inches of snowfall, really widespread, 6 to 10 here in the purples, and then 10 to 20 here in the pinks, which would still be a major snowfall event for Boston and some of the coastal regions of Maine as well. But compared to 3 feet, that's not very much. So this is 1 feet versus 3 feet here that we're taking a look at. Let's take a look at what the Canadian model is showing. So the Canadian model is somewhere in between here. We see about 10 to 20 here in these pinks. So mostly for the Northeast, this doesn't creep down into these regions on this model. But we do see those pastels indicating maybe 15 to 25 inches of snow for these regions. So a little bit more here on the Canadian model. So yeah, we do have a lot of time to go. The European model obviously would be a historic snowfall event. The GFS model and the Canadian model would just be a very large New England snowstorm, but nothing historic, nothing too insane, and they really keep the totals as you go further down south along the coast. They keep these totals much lower. We're talking 2 to 4 inches instead of 8 to 12 inches on the European model. So a significant departure from what the European model is showing here, especially the further south you go. These New England regions would still see a major snowstorm either way, but we're talking major versus historic. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to continue to keep you guys up to date with the latest, so be sure to subscribe and keep up to date with these uploads that we're making. I can't wait to talk about this storm more and just really see how it plays out, but we're going to be updating this tomorrow, so stay tuned for that and watch out for that upload, guys. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6 still. We haven't moved up just because these models still do disagree quite a bit. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this storm will even happen? And James Marr said, I believe this storm will happen and bomb out, which would produce blizzard conditions, which seems to be a good possibility at this point. For today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry the Pan, Mandy Virchield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalessa, Catbite, Charles Tennant, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Coolisi also. I would also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Finn, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.